Hello, everyone. I'm Natalie Kunzman, MD, and I'd like you to step into my office today because we are going to have a discussion about how to start a diet. I know that sounds very basic, but there are some key principles in the world of integrative and functional medicine that I like to observe and discuss before a patient starts a dietary plan. Obviously, we need to figure out if there's any underlying conditions such as diabetes or thyroid that a diet might need to be crafted in such a way that we need to work around any medications. Might need a closer surveillance such that if you're dieting and weight loss is occurring, medications may need to be adjusted. So a lot of times I like to kick off a dietary plan with some basic blood work to assess where you are in your health spectrum. The next thing I like a lot of people to get involved with is to discuss those foods that cause you problems. Now, a lot of people don't even realize that the food they are taking in is either poor quality or of the nature where it is causing intolerances or frank food allergies. There is a way to do food allergies in blood work testing. There are food intolerances, which will also affect the gut immune system, and some of those intolerances may occur 2 or 3 days later and impact a secondary arm of the immune system, typically at the gut-related lymphatic tissue or internally. So a lot of times I need to assess whether or not there are food allergens or food intolerances. And in a lot of those food intolerances, we are also going after spices that may cause some intolerances, because you can't craft a diet if you don't know those things that could be impacting you in a negative fashion. And of course, the only dietary plan you can stay on is one that you can tolerate. I also would like to make a quick sidebar comment that when we are talking about going on a diet, I don't view this as a temporary venture, but I view this as a lifestyle management plan. So this is from here moving forward. So again, we need to assess the tolerances. We need to have that information so we can move forward. We also need to know what is in our food. So I will start talking to patients about those things that absolutely need to be eliminated from the diet and lifestyle that are harming us. All of the processed foods that have multiple chemicals and multiple colors need to be eliminated. If weight loss is a goal, for sure, I will have patients start eliminating any of the drinks that they have and converting it over to water. So water is what we need to hydrate. This sounds very obvious, but what we don't need and what will not hydrate us are sodas, alcohols, a lot of the animal milks, the drinks that are just sugar and food coloring. Those do not quench our thirst. Our body does not need those. They are sweet, they are desserty, and they have no role in our dietary plans moving forward. Coffees, teas, non-sugar based, they might be added into the dietary plan, and they may serve a lot of purposes. But sugar, I must remind everybody, is poisonous to our system. And that's why so many people in our country and in the world are now becoming diabetic. We don't need these in our diet. Okay, so now that we've discovered any potential food avoidances that we need to have in our diet, what kind of plan should be laid out for us to start our diet. I subscribe to a lot of the whole food, high vegetable, unprocessed dietary planning, dietary lifestyle. Paleolithic dieting makes a lot of sense, and there are a lot of different variations of the theme. So what does Paleolithic eating mean? Well, it truly, in the nuts and bolts of its understanding, is eating for what we are genetically made up to eat. If we look at everything from our dentition to our alimentary tract to our gut bacteria, we were really designed to eat those things that come out of the earth, those fresh animal products. So whether you hunt and we gathered our meats in that fashion, farming is okay so long as we haven't really bastardized some of the foods that we've given our meats, and so long as it is organic and grass-fed. We were designed to break down these products. We were designed to absorb those nutrients. And if you think about where most of our core nutrition comes from, it comes from the vegetable family. Now, what we weren't really designed to be eating genetically and with our gut bacteria are grains that have been rendered down and processed and created into our pastas and breads and dessert treats and cakes and things in that family, because there are no real minerals from the earth. There are no vitamins that come from this type of eating, and it is high calorie, so it will fuel us, but it doesn't give us any nutrition. So Paleolithic, again, will introduce a lot of vegetation. It promotes a lot of organic eating. It does not promote any of those foods that have had a high genetic modification. The issue with high genetic modification, or GMO, is that some of the food has been rendered so different that our gut bacteria doesn't recognize it, and if it doesn't recognize it, it will stimulate our immune systems to be inflammatory and cause a lot of gut-related inflammation and autoimmunity. So I'll give one example with gluten in our wheat. So as we have genetically modified our wheat to avoid pestilence and become hardier, what has happened is some of our wheat has been genetically modified to be about 80% gluten. But if you go to Europe and some of those countries that do not allow that modification, the wheat only has about 18% of gluten. So you can see why over time we have such a high preponderance of gluten intolerance. So again, dietary wise, high vegetation, high nutrient dense food, less grains, no sugars, no processing. Of course, that can lead to several different strategies that go by different names, but if you think about their core principles, whether or not you are on a Mediterranean diet, you are on a low carbohydrate diet, whether your gut requires a FODMAP diet, you are still eliminating some of the key core players. Now, moving on to a ketogenic diet that may be used or needed for some neurologic issues, for some kick-starting, and the same rules will apply. We will have high vegetation, very good oils and fats that come from the plant family that our bodies know how to digest and break down. The oils will not come from some of the synthetic, manufactured, almost petroleum-based oils that we have rendered down. They will come from our nuts and our avocado and our olive and our coconut oils, and some of those very good animal products such as lard and ghee. So ketogenic may have a higher rate of the oils in the diet, but they will still observe some of the key principles with where we get our animal products and high vegetation and low to no sugar. Ketogenic may be hard to maintain, and in the paleolithic style of eating, those oils will be brought into the paleolithic style of eating as well. As we move on to some of the other dietary components, I remind people that food chemistry is very complicated. So we may not have frank allergy testing or an allergic response, but we may not be able to handle some of the acetylcholinesterase in our nightshade family. Some people cannot handle the lectins of some of our legumes, but then there will be ways to help cook those or sprout those or pressure cook those or boil those. So there are a lot of things to consider with food chemistry, which will bring me to the concept of a great nutritional coach. Some of you fine folks may need to find yourself a nutritional coach. That person is very savvy in where to buy your products, how to cook some of your products, because again, as a sidebar, some of those great oils in our diet will work great if they are not denatured, broken down, and turned rancid. So we do not want to deep fry our foods in these oils because the frying process will break those oils down. So we may want to eat our vegetables raw. We may want to braise them. And then for the oils, we drizzle and haven't cooked or broken down those oils. Again, the nutritional coach may help with that. That nutritional coach may help you read product labels, go to good companies, help you when you are at your farm stands to get you great quality to feed your body and optimize your health. Now we're talking about those meals. Keep in mind, snacking has become an American phenomenon. Snacking really isn't necessary. Snacking in my mind is entertainment. And a lot of times when I am talking to my patients, they tell me over and over that they eat well and that they cook well. But subconsciously, they forget the added caloric intake and they forget to tell me about snacking. Don't forget, crackers, cookies, chips are rendered down, highly synthesized, in bad oils, and are non-essential to feeding your body, your gut bacteria, and your brain. So keep snacking to a limit, or you can eat regular food or your leftovers for dinner, or you can save half of a meal and 2 or 3 hours later eat the other half of a meal if you prefer to space out your eating. A quick discussion on intermittent fasting. I do subscribe to that because I believe that is for us to listen to our bodies, allow our hunger hormones to do what they are needed to do to tell our brain chemistry when it is time to eat, but also when it is time to stop eating. There are many of us who don't even know what it is like to be hungry because we are eating with scheduling, we are snacking in between, we have stress eating, and we're not even allowing our brain chemistry to tell us when it is time to eat. Intermittent fasting can go in so many different ways, such as waiting 12 hours in between meals. It can go a day or two with just ingesting liquids. And again, a nutritional coach and your integrative physician may help you figure out what may be the best strategy for you. So again, a few tips on how to go about your diet. I wish you all a good new year in 2021. Please subscribe to my channel below. And until we meet again, be well.